Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about Promare. Now, Promare is like a crazy Technicolor blacklight poster, intensely frantic, visually inventive, beautiful, amazing kind of animated film that you have to see for yourself. I wish I had seen it on the big screen. I didn't. And just watching the colors sort of like envelop you in the beautifulness that this animation is. You kind of can't escape how amazing this animation is. I just wanted to it's the main reason I saw it, because I saw the trailer and I was like, holy shit, what the fuck is this? It's the first feature film from Studio Trigger into such an amazing stratosphere of what they can do. And what they can do with the medium of animation, how they can push it, show like the true beauty that the medium can achieve. And if you let people just do what they want in terms of color and staging and camera, and let them just go off and watch like fighting mechs and watch it just like this intense, beautiful nonsense of a movie, and it is dumb as fucking shit. This is a really stupid movie. I don't know what any of it meant. I don't think it meant much of anything. Doesn't matter. People spontaneously combust or something. That's weird. That's not why you're seeing it. And I think that's a weird thing with this movie and any film that you're seeing that's animated, that you're primarily seeing for the animation. And maybe that's what got you in. There's lots of movies you're like, that's a cool character design, I'm going to see it. And then you see it and you're like, most of the time you fall in love with it and there's characters there. Promare, no, not really. not really at all. I know some people, even people who like animation, don't like to watch movies like that. They don't really think it's that great. They find it to be sort of an empty experience. And I will agree, it is a different visual experience, and I don't agree that every film has to adhere to the same sort of weird values or something like that, or like all films are like a dumb checklist or something. No, I don't think that's true. But watching something for the visuals predominantly is a different experience. I rewatched scenes of this film after it was done, and it wasn't because the characters like drew me in and I had that emotional connection. I had like no emotional connection to this. And it sort of reminds me of when Super Jail came out. I remember I really liked that show, but there's a lot of people like, I love the animation, but like I don't care about any of these characters, which is probably why that show didn't go very much beyond like animation heads and stuff like that. And I sort of felt the same way about Kill la Kill, although I remember sort of liking the main girl in that, but I couldn't tell you her name or much about her, but I could remember specific animation moments from it, so maybe point proven. I don't know Studio Trigger that well other than Kill la Kill and this, and both things I absolutely love, so why haven't I seen more? I don't have a good answer for that. I just love the way the animation moves in this and the neon colors of it, and it is sort of like a stoner bedroom that's really well designed with black lights, which in a lot of ways is not well designed if you're thinking of that room, but this movie is. This is this director who works a lot with Studio Trigger. His name I'm gonna probably mess up, so I'll just have it right here. But his frantic style, letting that go, in terms of at least animation, this is one of the best films I've seen in the last couple of years. In fact, I don't know why it didn't get more acclaim. The animation is that fucking good. The pacing of it, like all of the action sequences are amazing and breathtaking to watch. Watching like this whole plot line, which it doesn't make a lot of sense, but first people start to like sort of spontaneously combust all over the world, and then they're not spontaneously combusting, they're like shooting fire and they're like really into it, and it's the methodology of fire or something, and they're called the Burnish, and they burn like half the world or something, and of course everyone hates them because they killed half the world or something. And so then 30 years later there's like these firefighters, and the firefighters is super overfunded because like it's like the most important thing, because the Burnish. And you get this one guy named Gallo who's like this star firefighter, puts fires out without a shirt. This movie's just very committed to being as ridiculous as humanly possible, also being like impressively stylish and fun to watch and everything. As frantic and visually interesting as it is, there's certain things that they just went full in on the ridiculousness, which I love. But he's a firefighter without a shirt. Don't know a lot about firefighters, don't think that's something they do. He goes in and he kind of realizes the problem with how people are perceived with the Burnish, and he's able to take down one of the biggest Burnish bosses, and he sort of starts to deconstruct and figure out why do people hate the Burnish and the inherent bias that is towards them. Now, if you're thinking that has anything to do with what's going on in the headlines or anything like that, don't worry, it doesn't, so don't think it does. It does not warrant that kind of discussion at all. It kind of just does the sort of thing big movies do about these sort of, like big action movies do about this sort of thing, so it kind of just plays like that, when he finds out this one guy, the lead of the Burnish, he looks like someone who's in a new romantics band in the 80s, look it up, or, you know, one of those like pop punk bands that look like one of those new romantic bands from the 80s. And this has wall-to-wall, like, kind of ridiculous kind of rock pop music, which isn't normally my thing, but works with the aesthetic of the movie, so I'm not going to really knock it too much, because I still thought it sort of fit, even though I'm not going to buy the soundtrack or anything like that. This movie is just like style to the utmost sincerity, and when you have fighting mechs and you have, it's purple fire when it's the Burnish, like it's clearly a different kind of fire than like regular fire. They're different colors. What the, you know, reason is, I think it's to just show you, you know, what's human fire and what's not, or whatever. And then of course they have like the freeze force or the frost force, or like shoots fire at these guys to like put them out, all these crazy things. But like really, when it does the action sequences, this movie comes alive. When it has anything to do with plot, it could be stylish to a point, but that's where this movie really drags and like started to lose me, because I'm like, I'm sorry, you wanted me to care about this crap, but in terms of like watching just like this visual feast of a thing, like I was thinking about this with this film. Have you ever been to a party and someone puts a movie on, and they put a movie on that's like sort of, if you do it right, you put on a good looking movie, and so people can just glance at it and go, oh, that's cool, and it kind of adds to the ambiance. This would absolutely work like that. You could put this on like a club and like a bunch of the TVs around the club, and it would kind of be like this cool thing. You're like, what the fuck is this weird thing? It works in that way. I'm not saying you shouldn't listen to the plot, maybe I am, but it just doesn't really, it's dumb. It's like the Burnish and he's trying to put them out and stuff, but in a way it's like kind of playing in that sillier sort of anime aesthetic, which I've seen a lot of people refer to, and it did seem like it just wasn't taking that aspect of it seriously. It's playing very in the genre, or the genre of anime and things of that nature, but I think it's mainly trying to adhere to what the studio really has, which is its frantic animation pace and all the colors and fun that you can get from that. And sometimes art is just cool for the sake of being cool, and that's not bad. And that's the whole thing I thought with Promare. It's like, I just saw one of the most impressive animated films of recent memory. I definitely think it made an impression. I definitely think Studio Trigger should be doing more features, but I don't think the story was very good at all. But it's still just, I think that says something about a filmmaker that can get me compelled, kept me thinking about the visuals. If I see visuals from it, I'm like, oh my god, there's so many screensavers right here, kind of thing. It's just epically gorgeous kind of movie, epically amazing, awe-inspiring, like just one of those animated films you want to tell people who love animation about. But it is not breaking out of that. It is not like a film that you could get anyone who's not into this sort of thing into at all. In fact, it's probably weird I don't talk a lot about recent anime or anything like that, but it just, the trailers and everything I saw for it, I just thought was so cool, and I like just had to do it. Like, I understand if you bought an art of book, I totally get that. I understand if you had a t-shirt, like all those things make sense to me. But saying you related this in any way, unless you're a firefighter who doesn't wear a shirt when they put out fires, that person, hey, I'm sure you can. But everybody else, I don't really get it. It is a ridiculous movie, but it is a fun fucking trip of it. And much like it's cool to look at a black light poster when a black light is on it, that is this movie. It's like, you wouldn't really want to look at that every day, and you wouldn't want a black light on it every day. But those few times you walk into that room and you see those black lights, it's really fucking cool. And I'm sure if you're 13 or 14 and you just like watching a movie for being cool, this wraps you up in that youthful energy that even if this isn't cool in 20 years, you believe it is so much, with so much passion, that you'll never believe that that flame will go out. Maybe it will one day. Maybe someone will top this and this will look outdated. I don't actually think so. I think it is visually strong enough to go beyond that. I actually think this is an incredible piece of art, but it is able to get that coolness, that funness, that youthful energy all going throughout, and showing you the real kind of thing everyone says about animation is that you could do anything. And despite this movie being a jumbled bunch of fucking nonsense, they were able to make this into something. And if that's being able to do anything, the Studio Trigger shows the promise that everyone's put on the studio. I hope that they can actually, make a movie with the story at some point, not to be like, lame and be a critic or something like that. But at the same time, if they made 100 movies like this, I would see every single one and probably love every single one. I might still complain about the story, but I still think this is a hell of a fucking ride. In terms of filmmaking, just, one of the more impressive feats of animation, to come out in a long time. And for that, it's just an immensely impressive film that, like, almost every animator should see, and will probably have their jaw on the floor while they're watching it. So if you have seen Promare and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.